Welcome. It's the Blur Medic. It's the illest blur in the land. Welcome back, Legends community. Returning Legends, thank you so much for commenting, liking, and sharing. New Legends, welcome to sharing. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, commenting, and also sharing. Let's get into today's new video. Today's new video is actually on a movie that honestly, I didn't have super big expectations for it. But I eventually went to go see it, and it's no other than Marvel Studios' latest movie, Thunderbolts, with asterisk with it. So, I'm gonna give you pretty much the pros, cons, then my review on it. So the first thing that I liked about this movie is that we're familiar with a lot of these characters already. We've seen these characters in other Marvel movies, even TV shows. Bucky Barnes, we've seen quite a bit. He's been in Avengers 3 and 4. He was in the Captain America's 1 through 4. He was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. We got Helena. Helena has been in Hawkeye. She was in Black Widow's movie. Now she's in this movie. We got Ava. Ava was introduced to us in Ant-Man, so we got a familiarity with these characters. Walker was introduced to us in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and now this is the second thing that he's introduced to. And also Taskmaster was introduced to us actually in the same way. The Black Widow solo movie right along with Red Guardian. But also the other thing that I like about these characters, we know something about them already. Not everything about them, but we know about Red Guardian. Red Guardian is kind of like the comical relief for this movie, I felt like. I was like, when I hear Red Guardian, I'm like, okay, we're gonna get comedy relief. And David Harper brought it. He brought his A game like he did in Black Widow. He brought it to Thunderbolts. I was like, you know what? He did a good job. He continued playing this role really well. Same thing with Helena. Helena playing this daughter to him. You know what I'm saying? The chemistry between those two were there. Also, I like the relationship with Bucky. How Bucky interacted with the heroes. He's this congressman now trying to figure out how to get these other anti-heroes because they're doing their own thing, and Val has something to do with that. And him wanting to actually be a part of a team again. You remember? So that was really interesting how they explored that. And I think, honestly, Florence Pugh that plays pretty much, you know what I'm saying, Helena, she does a great job being like the leader of this particular group of anti-heroes, and Bucky's kind of like the second in command, if you get what I'm saying, when it comes down to it. And like I said, David Harper he's the comical relief. Ava, we know a little bit more about her, you know what I'm saying, she's still kind of doing her own thing, and then she's kind of introduced to these other characters within the story, so that works. Right along with Walker as well. And that was explored to some degree. Now, the next thing that I will have to say that was also a pro with this movie is the multiple genres it explored. I felt like at the beginning of this movie, it felt like a thriller movie, action movie, with a bit of a sci-fi feel to it at the beginning. And then the second half of the movie brought something else to it where I was like, ooh, Birdman hand rub, all right? We got thriller, we got psychological, you know what I'm saying? A bit more sci-fi-ish. I was like, wow, Marvel, y'all was cooking with this. And don't get me wrong, Marvel movies tend to have other genres incorporated with the movie. And that's totally fine with me. It doesn't have to be just one genre in order for it to be a good movie. Bring me other genres. I don't mind seeing other genres within a movie. Sometimes doing one genre gets boring, and the director definitely delivered. I mean, when I saw the second half of the movie, I was like, yo, this is giving me Inception vibes, The Matrix, Poltergeist movies, influence-wise when it came to certain scenes within the movie. I was like, they really did a good job with this. Now, the other thing that I really liked that was explored in this movie, the actual humanistic aspect to us as human beings. Being discarded, you know what I'm saying? Being abandoned, but also not just that element of it that is relatable to probably people that are going to go see this movie, but also the light and darkness within us. That was really well explored. Helena running from a tragic situation that was traumatic, this darker nature of what she saw when she was a child, the betrayal, the hurt, the pain. We saw that with Walker, this relationship with this woman that he had this child with, and just the dark trauma surrounding that on maybe why the relationship wasn't great. Red Guardian, you know what I'm saying? Him wanting to be this celebrity of a superhero, even though they didn't necessarily completely explore it, it was there. You could feel it with his acting. It was there. The factor of it. It was really well written. Also, Bucky understanding these other anti-heroes and what it's like to be like them in a place of darkness and finding that particular light. And also Bob, which is the actual villain for this movie, what I'm going to talk about pretty soon. So that works. Now, the next thing Marvel has been known for in recent years. I mean, we've seen it quite a bit. The fighting choreography was really well thought of in this movie. I mean, from the fighting scenes, from the shooting scenes, from the, you know what I'm saying, combat type of scenes within the movie, it was really well polished. And I think Marvel wasn't always good with that. I think ever since maybe Captain America, Civil War, and then after that, Black Panther, going on to these movies now and even TV shows, the fighting choreography looked really flawless. It looked really good. It looked believable. It looked superhero-ish, anti-hero-ish is the best way to describe it, right? That really worked with the movie. Also, my favorite scene, where Bucky gives me Terminator vibes, where he's on the motorcycle and Bucky's just embracing this anti-hero-ness about himself. I actually liked it. The chase sequences were also another factor that really worked with the movie. Now, let's get into the next thing that I want to talk about. And this is something that honestly, I think worked. The villains in the movie, all right? We got the anti-heroes and we got the villains. I like how we get this set up for Bob. Understanding Bob being antisocial, being betrayed, hurt. We see the different stages of him becoming the way he was. It was a nice setup. And Val pretty much using him as a pawn because she discarded the other anti-heroes out there. She's like, oh, you guys are done. I'm not going to be bothered with you anymore. And also the conflict between her and Bucky, them being co-workers to some degree in a working environment. We saw that within the movie. But also I like how Bob becomes pretty much the actual Marvel's version of Superman. He's this unstable Superman because now he's pretty much casting darkness out into the world. And now the anti-heroes gotta figure out a way to stop this actually from happening because he's actually hurting the world. The reason why Val wanted the anti-heroes because there's no Avengers. There's no team to protect the Earth. This is giving the vibes of a sense of absence. Where are these heroes that we looked for that's going to save this world? And they're not there. So now she's like, hey, I got to go find the next superhero. And she uses Bob as a pawn. But Bob realizes that I'm getting used. You're betraying me like everybody else has. And I love that we saw in Bob's story that we learned about his different stages of betrayal within this movie. I was like, oh. Now the next thing that worked with this movie, and I'm not going to lie, is the CGI. The CGI looked really polished. I was like, this is looking really good. Certain scenes, and I was like, yeah, looks really good. I was like, yo, this is looking really great, by the way. The other thing that worked was the ending. Understanding the power of friendship. That's what I got from this, all right? Honestly, the last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to a pro, and I know a lot of people are going to say, like, really? Disney actually can do mature movies. And this is actually proven with this movie. There's some language that this is not really for kids, all right? So don't take the kiddos with you because this is not that type of movie, all right? If you got young kids, I would not recommend you go and see this because some of the language is definitely adult language. On top of that, some of the stuff dealing with drinking, you know? So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend like, hey, I want to bring the kids. You sure about that? You're sure about that? Because no. But this is proving that maybe Disney can make movies that are darker. We've seen it with Deadpool. I mean, we've seen it with Thor, but that was before this whole acquisition, right? The purchase. So maybe I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? When I went into this, I was like, I don't know. You know, okay, yeah, Deadpool, of course, but he's more of a fourth wall character, anti-hero. But yeah, I was impressed by this. You know what I'm saying? For it to be a 2-hour and 6-minute movie, I was blown away. I was like, this is something that I wasn't expecting. I didn't know what to expect with this because I'm not familiar with the Thunderbolts. I know they're like pretty much Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad, but under Marvel. And I was like, okay, I don't know much about these characters, but I am invested, you know what I'm saying? So they are on a similar scale to them. Honestly, let's get to the cons because there are some cons with this movie. The con that I felt like I would have wanted to see, and maybe because they already explored this a bit when it came to this character, is Ava from Ant-Man. I would have loved to have seen her darkness, what she was dealing with. You know what I'm saying? But overall, let's get into the rating for this movie. All right. So for me, Thunderbolts will have to be a A+ rating. Really enjoyed the movie. Love the setup, the execution. It seems like Marvel's got another one. Oh, my DJ Khaled voice. Another one. And it works. Honestly, I look forward to seeing a sequel for this. Also, keep in mind, don't leave the theater. There are 2 post-credit scenes. One I actually talked about a long time ago. But it is a blur. Living workouts. You tell me in the comments, have you seen the Thunderbolts? And my next question for you guys is, if you've seen the post-credit scene, were you surprised by it, the second one? But it is the hardest working blur on YouTube, guys. Thank you so much, Legends. And I am out.